Hey everybody, welcome to Look Back Laughs. Today we have a very special episode. We're going to look back at the career of one of my absolute favorites, one of the reasons I got into stand-up comedy, the late great Sam Kinison on the episode today. Boom. Well, welcome to the latest episode of Look Back Laughs. Today we have a very cool episode. I'm excited to look back at the career of one of my favorites, Mr. Sam Kinison. Look Back Laughs is a show where we get together, my buddy Scott and I, and we look back at someone who's inspired me to get into comedy, because that's where it all started. As comedians, all of us, we became fans of comedy and then did it ourselves. So this guy was instrumental in me making that next step to pursue my own craft of stand-up comedy. So Sam Kinison is on the episode today. And you know me, I'm Pete. You know me from Canadian comedy. And with me as always is my buddy Scott, who's in Korea. Hey Scott, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
It's all right, bud.
Oh, good, yeah.
How's things in Korea?
It's getting colder,
Yeah,
which is
I never say the name of the town that you live in because I can never pronounce it properly. I just say Korea.
Yeah, I'm in Masan.
Masan, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say like, hey, Scott,
The very bottom of South Korea, pretty
Right.
much.
I always think it's like, it's Pikachu, Korea. It's not at all.
Yeah, it's close.
Masan. So today we're going to look back at Sam Kinison's career. And as always on the show, Scott has prepared some clips that I have no idea what I'm going to be looking at today. So we're going to have just going to react to some of these old clips and look back at the amazing career of Sam Kinison. So to kick it off, Scott, why don't you give us a little history of Mr. Sam Kinison?
Sam Kinison was born in the state of Washington in 1953. While still as a baby, his family had moved to Illinois, where he would grow up and follow his dreams of being like his father, a Pentecostal preacher. His parents would divorce when Sam was 11 years old, and while in high school, Sam's mother would remarry to another preacher and move the family to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Sam became a preacher himself, just like his father, and preached from the ages of 17 to 24. During that time, Sam had married, and shortly after, gotten a divorce. After his divorce, Sam had decided to give up on being a preacher and to pursue his new dream and life in comedy. Kinison moved to Houston, Texas in 1978 to get a start and work on his new stand-up comic career. He started performing in small clubs around town, building on his routine, combining his own style with his former career as a preacher, and forming new relationships with fellow comics such as Bill Hicks. A couple years later, in 1980, Sam decided to move to Los Angeles to help further his stand-up career with the hopes of working at the Comedy Store. Sam got a job at the store as a doorman and began to work himself into the club. He enjoyed his new LA party life and struggled with both drugs and alcohol, but eventually Sam made it to the stage at the Comedy Store. In 1985, Kinison got his first real big break when he was invited to appear on Rodney Dangerfield's Young Comedian special on HBO. The former preacher's new career took off and he made his national TV appearance on Late Night with David Letterman later that year. Just as Sam would get everyone's attention on stage, he also got that attention off stage with his party attitude, success, and mingling in the rock and roll world of the LA Strip. Over the next several years, Sam's career continued to skyrocket with very successful comedy albums and tours across the US. He made appearances in music videos like Motley Crue's Kickstart My Heart, TV appearances on Saturday Night Live, in Living Color, and guest starred on Married with Children. He also appeared in Rodney Dangerfield's movie Back to School as a professor who would occasionally lose his cool. Sadly, both Sam's life and career would be cut short when he was involved in a car accident. Sam's vehicle was hit head-on by a drunk driver, and he died at the age of 38 in 1992. Luckily, Sam left us with some great performances and memories that we can look back on and laugh together with. So with that, let's now look back and react to Mr. Sam Kinison.
Bundy.
You're gonna want to see him again. And if you haven't seen him before, you're gonna get a kick out of Bad Sam. Okay, Sammy West.
Is this his young comedian special?
It's just a clip from a gig at Dangerfield's comedy.
This is at Dangerfield's, yeah.
In New York.
Having a good time, folks? I think this outfit says, I think this fashion statement says, I'm having a good fucking time! Kind of clothes you just put on and goes, come on, come on! You wanted a party? Fuck it, let's go! I just love women!
Quite the segue.
Yeah, good way to start.
Times, and it's been real every time, folks. Every time it was gonna last forever. Remember, you fucking bitches! Ah!
Jesus Christ.
I thought it was the door to love, it was the door to hell!
Damn. Just commanding that audience, eh?
Yeah. You got no choice but to pay attention to him.
Yeah, you can't look away.
Men don't get a lot of information in this country. Nobody helped us. Nobody. The first time we had like intimate sex. Oh, this is HBO. The first time we were licking pussy. Was anybody there to help you? No way! You were on your own! Nobody helped. That's why I try to help a little bit. I'm trying to pass things on. I'm trying to help people. Dog psychiatry. There's some money I'd like to get on. I'd like to get in on some of that cash, man. Dog psychiatry. Yeah, sure. Now, why don't I buy this, folks, huh? Guy coming into a fucking psychiatrist going, yeah, it's Rusty, man. I don't know, he used to be a Sparky dog. He was a happy dude, man. He used to play with the Frisbee, and he hasn't been himself lately. He's losing his identity. He's like, yeah, come on in, mister. Here, I'll tell you. We're going to go in and have a session. Come on in, mister. Listen. You're a fucking dog! You understand that? You sick yard! Bark, you son of a... Yeah, listen, Rusty's all better now. Yeah, we had a real good session. That'll be $200, all right? Yeah, he's really opened up. He's found himself. Yeah, he's a new dog now.
Wild applause break there.
That's what sexual counselors are. You don't need sexual counseling. Come on. A lot of women going to be walking around New York tomorrow going, yeah, I went to this show last night.
Jesus Christ.
God, he got excited. Oh, I like that, man. They get excited when you fuck me harder, fuck me harder! I'll fuck you harder. Hold on. No, tell us what you want. I know, I remember. Fuck. You want it harder, huh? Okay, let's try it like this. Let's try it this way.
Jesus Christ.
I'll give it to you harder. You guys been great, man.
Fuck's sakes. Wild. That is wild, man. Good luck following that, hey? Somebody had to follow Sam Kinison that night.
Yeah.
Woo! Damn. That is that's a lot to unpack, hey? My God.
Yeah,
funny and hard cringe a lot of those. Like that's
yeah, I think it's cringier these days.
Well, that's what I
Maybe
mean, like-
back in that time.
no kidding. I laugh hilariously in 1980. I'm guessing that's 87 or 88, somewhere in there.
Yeah, probably mid 80s. I think.
Yeah,
it was.
mid 80s somewhere. I'm sure it was electric and also just so outlandishly vile. Like talking about licking pussy.
Yeah.
on HBO, it would be like, what am I watching? Kind of thing, you know. Nowadays, like you can watch that on YouTube, you know, like it's
Yeah.
you know, there's no sweat. But
Yeah, he was definitely known to be, I guess, vulgar, kind of shock comedian.
yeah,
for some people.
for sure, yeah. But I never found it like I was never drawn to him because he was so shocking. He was just so funny. My God, it was just his premises were just so bang on. And but again, watching these clips and be like, you know, he's beating the hell out of a dog. Like what the, I wouldn't do that in 2020. You know, like you don't do that on stage. And then his act out of the sex act at the end, it was like, yeah, you can't do that in 2020. There's just no way. But loud and true of the time. That's
So that was at Dangerfield in New York, I think.
That's right.
That was it's in Times Square, wasn't it?
It's in the Upper East Side. So I've been to that club.
Okay.
But just before I moved down to New York City, I went to just check out the school and check out New York. So my mom and we went down to New York and had a little mini vacation to check out the city and the school. And I looked it up and I was like, Dangerfield is right across. Like I found it on the map. Like we got to go. So they seated my mom and I right in the front row, and every comedian just roasted us and zinged us the whole time. And I think it was the very beginnings of me going like, yeah, I want to do this. This is amazing. Yeah. So Dangerfield is the very first comedy club I'd ever been in. That club that we just saw that clip from Sam Kinison, the late great Rodney Dangerfield. And that comedy club just announced it's closing its doors. So I think there's a movement now trying to rally around and try to save Dangerfield's club, but it's you know, in these quarantine lockdown times, it's we're going to see this more and more and more. These amazing venues are going to shut down. So I hope they save Dangerfield. I would love to perform on that stage one day. My God.
Next guest is making his network television debut tonight, and we believe it's long overdue. He is one of the strangest and most original comedians working today.
Oh my God,
Brace
I've not seen this
yourselves.
clip.
I'm not kidding. Please welcome Sam Kinison.
Kinison on late night.
Yeah.
My God.
This is old.
Oh, this is fantastic.
There's still time to call the church and call all this off. I know a lot of you come here, you watch TV, you wait every night for somebody to come on here and give you an answer for your lives, waiting for someone that'll come and say, hey, this is it. I don't have to settle for defeat anymore. I can rise up out of my routine. I can get a hold of myself. I don't have to lose. I can win. There's something inside me that's not going to let me go down anymore. But I'm not the guy.
Fantastic, man.
Yeah.
Little look at
I
his
don't have any
preacher
answers for
style
it.
back then, hey?
But I can tell you about one thing. Oh, yeah, you think you're safe, huh? You people over here, you think you're safe? Do you think you're safe? What's your name? Lou?
It's in the
Lou,
audience.
You been married? You do me a favor? If you ever think you want to get married, if you ever think you've met the right woman, you want to settle down, you want to get a house, you want to get a car, maybe raise a family, do me a favor, will you, Lou? Remember this face. Remember it, Lou! Remember that face! Because it's the face of hell, Lou. It'll be your face every day. Have you ever married? Are you married? What's your
I
name?
wonder how uncomfortable NBC were.
John, show him the face. Show it to him! Say it! Look at it! Just wanted you to know it's just not me, all right? I'm trying to help here. I'm trying to do a good thing. But I'm not trying to make fun of world hunger. If you want to do something about world hunger, I think I have an answer. I think a lot of people are adopting this attitude. You want to do something about world hunger? Stop sending them food. I mean, it's network television. I'll be the first. Look right here. Zoom in. Stop sending them food, all right? Don't send them any more food.
Some booze.
You want to help these people? Send them U-Hauls.
Oh, yeah.
Send them boxes, some luggage. Send them a guy out there who goes, hey, hey, we just drove 750 miles across the desert with your food, and it occurred to us that there wouldn't be world hunger if you people would live where the food is! You live in a desert! Do you understand that? You live in a desert!
Letterman dying in the background.
Letterman wincing. That's right. Yeah. Hugs Dave. Well, that's fantastic, man. I hadn't seen that. My God. Well, two of my favorites right there, David Letterman and Sam Kinison. I went to a taping of Late Night with David Letterman. I sat in that back row. So when you saw that cutaway shot from the performer's perspective, from Dave's perspective up to the audience, it was up top left. That episode was Paul Reiser, Kenneth Branagh, and Hot House Flowers, 1992, somewhere in there. And Dave announced on that show, coming up on tomorrow's show is such and such, whatever the musical guest was, and comedian Sam Kinison. And me and my roommate freaked out. Ah! So we went down, couldn't wait to see Sam Kinison, see him walk into the NBC, and he didn't show up. And that morning, he was on Howard Stern, and I could tell he was drunk. He was drunk on Howard Stern at like 8 a.m. He was getting ready for school. And he didn't show up to Letterman, didn't show up to do Joan Rivers' show. It was a scandalous time. Like he went out and partied in New York, and then didn't get up to do his TV taping. He missed Letterman that night, and he missed Joan Rivers' show. He was supposed to do it. Missed him. Never got to see him, but you got to see him, Scott.
I did, yeah. I saw him. I'm not sure on the exact year. It might have been around 1990. It was like in the peak of his career.
Yeah.
So me and our friend Rob, we wanted to go see him. And I think, I told my parents, and they said, yeah, sure. Tickets were pretty expensive. I've never been to a big stand-up tour or anything like that, obviously, at that point. We were probably around 16, 17 years old.
Right.
And we went to a golf tournament during the day, with pros and all that. And that night, so my parents took us to, it was at Melody Fair in New York State, somewhere around Buffalo.
Oh, in the States?
Not far from where I lived, in Niagara Falls. So we went and went to the short show, and it was just like a rock concert.
Right.
Like I'd been to rock concerts before, but never anything like this.
And insanely jealous. That's so cool.
Pauly Shore opened for him.
That's right. Yeah, Pauly was the opener.
Right. His mom was famous, and
Mitzi. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, at the Comedy Store, and apparently Sam Kinison kind of brought him up. He was one of the babysitters for
That's
Pauly.
right. Well, I think all the comedians that worked at the Comedy Store had to babysit Pauly at one time or another.
And yeah, so Pauly Shore was, big at that time too.
Was he? Yeah.
His first, I don't know what his first movies were, Encino Man or one of those.
Yeah,
movies.
could have been then. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So he was known as the Weasel at that time.
Right.
So he opened the show, and I thought, wow, this is great. Melody Fair, it was a round stage in the center, and everybody sat around. And the stage
so you saw Sam Kinison in the round, man.
Yeah, it kind of rotated, I think.
Yeah.
But it was like a rock concert. He had all these hot girls right out of a Motley Crue concert, like their backup singers.
Yeah.
And it was just a thing. And I remember it finished, I couldn't wait to go get outside and tell my parents how great it was.
Right.
So we met him, got in the car, and I was like, yeah, that show was awesome. And he was like, yeah. My dad was like, yeah, that was fantastic. I was like, what? And apparently my parents just kind of walked in, snuck in, and watched the entire show.
Oh, so they just
instead of waiting type thing. So
I
don't know if they saw Pauly Shore, but they saw Sam
I get
Kinison.
you.
So
I get you. So instead of waiting for you outside of the
surprise.
concert, they decided, well, let's go check it out. And they walked in. And saw
Nobody
Sam Kinison.
stopped them. They just walked right in.
Amazing.
But yeah, that was Letterman. That was Letterman. So it was, I think, his first national TV appearance.
It looks like, it looks.
And the reason
era.
I picked that clip, going from the last clip, how kind of, let's say, vulgar Sam Kinison was, and then having to do a late night TV show.
Right.
I wanted to ask, like, the difficulty of, depending on what your normal act is, which in Sam Kinison's case was being a bit outrageous, let's say, and then having to do a clean show.
Yeah. I know Sam had trouble with this. Like he would like nobody could follow him. He was a rock star at the clubs. Like he was, and to get to that next level, you had to do TV. So everyone was asking, how are you going to do this on TV? And Sam worked hard. Like he worked hard to get that 7 minutes of squeaky clean, but still have that edge to him. Comedy set. So, and I hadn't seen that Letterman set. That so fascinating to see. Like you see like a little glimpse of his preacher man character that he would do when he was a preacher. Like you heard the cadence of it. Like that was fascinating to me. And then you could see the glimpses of the beginnings of that manic character that he would have about, I was married for 2 years. So he had that and a lot of audience interaction. I didn't know he had a lot of that going on. He cleaned it up. He did really well for a TV appearance. And also you could see Letterman wincing in the back. Like that was, stop sending them food. Damn, that's hard, man. That's hard to say on national television. But he had a funny punchline with it. And Letterman's reaction was exactly true right off the top. He said, it's making his network television debut, long overdue, because they were working a long time to try and get Sam on national television. So that was fascinating. Thanks for finding that clip. That's great.
I'm sorry, Bundy, I failed you.
Great.
I was supposed to show you why you should live.
Yeah.
I can't think of one darn reason.
Married with
I'll
children.
never get my wings now.
I believe I have this on VHS in my mom's basement
You
somewhere.
heaven driving around a 78 Pinto? The same kind of woman you get down here driving around a 78 Pinto. God, I'm depressed. Well, that's better.
Wait a second. I want to be back with my family.
Why?
Look at them. They're happy. Not a care in the world.
He's playing like an angel or something.
Well, it's a spoof of It's a Wonderful Life.
I want to live.
Bundy, are you serious? How do you like that, Thelma? Daddy's home for Christmas! You pig! You slut! Take a bite of this shabu! That brought his career to a new level. That appearance on Married with Children. It was it was that show was like also like kind of like the raunchy, dangerous show on in
Fox.
Fox. It put Fox on the map. So it was a perfect fit. Put Sam Kinison on Married with Children, and it was the Christmas episode, and they came up with this. It's a spoof of It's a Wonderful Life, and if he, of course, was the angel. Man, I've watched that clip a million times as a teenager. That was rock stardom there. That was good for him. That was great, and it also got the attention of the Fox Fox executives. And then they said from that appearance, they developed a show around him. And I forget what that show was called, but he was a miniature man. Anyway, it was a terrible premise for a show, and I think it only lasted a few episodes. But he got his own show from Fox based on that appearance on Married with Children. Classic television. My God.
Welcome to Contemporary American History. I'm Professor Terguson.
Back to school with Rodney Dangerfield.
Just information about the past, not me. Now, can someone tell me why in 1975 we pulled our troops out of Vietnam?
The failure of Vietnamization to impart their support caused an ongoing erosion of confidence in the various American but illegal Saigon regimes.
Is she right?
I really enjoyed this movie.
What went on there. I know a lot of people like to believe that. I wish I could, but I was there. I wasn't here in the classroom, hoping I was right, thinking about it. I was up to my knees in rice paddies with guns, and then we're going up against Charlie, slugging it out with him, while pussies like you were back here partying, putting headbands on, doing drugs, listening to the goddamn Beatle albums.
Hey, Professor, take it easy, will you? I mean, these kids, they were in grade school at the time. And me, I'm not a fighter. I'm a lover.
You remember that thing we had about 30 years ago called that Korean conflict? Yeah, where we failed to achieve victory. How come we didn't cross the 38th parallel and push those rice eaters back to the Great Wall of China and take the Berkeley brick and nuke them back into the fucking Stone Age River? How come? Tell me why? Say it! Say it!
All right, I'll say it. Because Truman was too much of a pussy wimp to let MacArthur go in there and blow out those Tommy bastards.
Good answer. Good answer. Like the way you think. I'm gonna be watching you.
A good teacher. He really seems to care. About what, I have no idea.
Again, the late great Rodney Dangerfield. He really took a shine to Sam, obviously. Rodney had a real, he really took a shine to helping young comics. You know, like if he liked you, he would move mountains to help out your career, and he certainly did that with Sam. He put him on his. We saw that first clip. That was his young comedian special. I think it was what they called it. Rodney Dangerfield's. From Dangerfield's Comedy Club, and then he put him in back to school. Was that clip? We played that Vietnam veteran. We miss Rodney too. My God, great clip. Yep. Well, I was gonna say that's also you got a shout out there in Korea there in that clip.
Oh yeah, I don't know. What do you call them? Rice packers or something?
I think that's what we're discovering in this. Sam Kinison in 2020 is getting canceled. It's not flying. It's not flying in 2020.
Most of the people we look back at will be like that.
That's absolutely true.
But at the same time, they would have all adapted.
Yeah.
Too, if they were still around.
I would absolutely like to think that too. Like when you look back at the comedy of Sam Kinison, like when I think back of events that have happened in the last 15 years, like what would Sam be saying about this kind of stuff? Like what would, and then kind of think back and I don't know where he would stand on this kind of stuff. But I think you're absolutely right. I think they would adapt. I think Sam would find a way, because comedy was number one with him. It wasn't trying to shock people. It was always trying to find the funny, and that was just of the time. Like it was fucking crude, man. It was hard. Every punchline was something cringeworthy in 2020.
Yeah, it's a little tough for me, folks. I'm from the Midwest.
That Bible,
This is the one.
One of the notches in the Bible belt.
Yeah. This is his
What a
first
name, the
HBO
Bible
special, I
belt.
believe. Like his own special.
The sick will find you wherever you go. If you can heal, you've got a new full-time job, folks. They'll find your ass. You can't take a piss. Oh, Jesus! Are you in here? You got a minute to look at this! Blind guys are coming in and go, where is he? Where is he? Talk to me, pal. Who's the guy with the gift? I'll be right. Can you hold on?
It's been so long since I've seen this. I forgot this punchline.
5,000 people would show up with no food, and he go, what? 5,000 of you don't want to be bought a sandwich? No, let me get it! I think his last words may have been, oh, not the other one, oh, you jerk, no! It may have been his last words, I'm not sure. Yeah. Sure. Help, huh? Yeah, I'd like to help. Tell him I'll be there as soon as I can play the piano again! Thanks a lot, like being the only savior that can use his hand as a fucking whistle!
Dude, that holds up. That one you can get away with in 2020. That was the special that electrified me. That might be the seed that was planted in my head to do comedy. That HBO special we just saw a clip of was I had on VHS. I had a VHS copy of it. I remember going to parties in Wawa and then putting that in the VCR, just saying, watch this. And people would be mad, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, just watch it. And within a few minutes, like the whole party would be watching this Sam Kinison VHS. He said things on that VHS special, on that HBO special, that I didn't think you could joke around with your friends about, much less into a microphone in front of strangers on national television. It was, he was loud and very true, and the loud and true voice, and fearless in his, in what he thought was funny and what he was going to bring to the stage. Unmatched. There's been no one that's come close to what that energy that Sam Kinison's brought. Damn, that was a great clip. I've memorized that so many times as a young man watching that video. Like even the cutaways of the audience, I'm like, I remember this guy. I've seen that VHS so many times. That special is burned into my memory. It might be the reason why I became a comedian. Oh man, how has Sam Kinison influenced my comedy? Well, he was one of the absolute first that blew me away as a pure stand-up comedian. Like up until I discovered Sam, I was just a fan of comedy. Like I loved Saturday Night Live, and I loved SCTV, and I loved Monty Python, The Quest for the Holy Grail, but stand-up was always something that there was just another avenue, and I hadn't really thought of it until I saw Sam. And Sam came along, and it was just such a brash and exciting and loud and true version of comedy that I'd never seen before, and it immediately made me excited for stand-up comedy. I think that was the very first kind of inklings of me pursuing stand-up and like looking at more stand-up comedy instead of sketch comedy and film. Absolutely. Sam was instrumental in me becoming a stand-up comedian, and I'm heartbroken I never got to see him perform live. I've worked with a ton of comedians that did work with him over the years, and I asked them a million questions about Sam, and I always find out some weird tidbit. One guy told me he always had bad breath. He always had bad breath. It's just fascinating to me. They would switch out the microphone at the end of the night because he would just destroy the mic with his boozy cigarette breath. but yeah, like he performed in Toronto at before I got into stand-up comedy. He performed at Yuck Yucks, and people would leave, like they would be angry, and the story goes that Sam Kinison went up to the club owner and was just like, apologize, I'm so sorry that happened, and club owner gave him $100 bonus and said, you do that every night, you get another $100 bonus. And so that was the kind of the scene of the late 80s of comedy, was making people laugh but also making a splash. And it was I really wish I got to see Sam back in the day. I'm incredibly envious of your story of going to see him in the Round in upstate New York. Very, very cool. Yeah, I miss him, and to think of what again, we do with this a lot on the shows. Like we talk about people that have passed away and what they would have given us over the years. Like I think a lot about Sam and what he would be saying about what would he be saying about this quarantined lockdown right now? What would he be saying about the war in Iraq that was happening again? Like what was happening? Like what would Sam's take be on cancel culture that would clearly shut him down right now? We'll never know. Like, but maybe that's a good thing, just because Sam was of his era, and he made the biggest splash in his very short life. Tragically, he was taken way too early, and we'll never know what he would have brought to the table over these years. And we sure miss him. I miss him for sure. So that's the end, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. That was a fun look back at absolutely one of my hands down favorite comedians of all time, Sam Kinison. Make sure to like and subscribe. It helps the channel so much. It helps the show. And hit the notification bell button so that you get notification when we upload a new one. We try to put one out once a week, I believe, Scott? And Scott, where can people check out your stuff? Where can they reach you?
You can check me out on the K podcast, which is just life in Korea, or on the 10 Years Apart podcast, which is the 80s versus the 90s. You can find those links in the description below.
Cool. And same with all my socials. You can check it out in the link below, at Zedlacher at all the different socials. I appreciate all the support and the feedback we've been getting on these episodes has been really fantastic. People are enjoying it. So thank you, Scott, for putting all this hard work together and putting these shows together, because it's been super fun to do. And that's it. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. Oh! Hey, thanks for sticking around right to the end, guys. Really appreciate it. And if you're looking for more videos, you can check out some of the clips up here or down here, and make sure to hit the subscribe button down here, or is it on this side? And the bell notification button is probably on that side, the opposite. Really appreciate all your support, guys. Boom.